Let's see how much you know about one of the most important topics in algebra, and that is functions. So, what I have for you here is a 6 question pop quiz on functions, and these questions are pretty basic. So, if you really understand algebra, you should be able to get all these questions correct. However, if there's something here that you don't understand, well, you definitely need to go back and review some of your algebra. All right, so get a piece of paper and pencil, and let's go ahead and get started with this quiz right now. All right, so I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer the question before I tell you the answer. So let's start off with our first question. And the question is this a function? And I want you to explain, in other words, justify your answer. So here we go. It's a set of points. So I have the point 1, 5, 2, 9, 1, 3, and 6, 4. Please tell me if this is a function, yes or no. Okay, and again, explain your answer. Okay, so if you want to pause the video and work on this, that's excellent, but I am going to go ahead and start answering this right now. So the best way to answer this question, well, I don't want to say the best way, but I think what I think is probably the easiest way is to go ahead and use a mapping diagram. Okay, so you can draw a little mapping diagram like this. This is our x's, this is our y's, and x points to y. Okay, now if you don't know what I'm talking about here, you definitely want to check out some of my videos on functions. I have a ton of stuff on functions on my YouTube channel, or maybe check out one of my full algebra courses. I really get heavy duty into functions, but this is going to be a mapping diagram. So let's go ahead and start mapping this out. So let's map out 1, 5. So that's this right here. Remember, these are xy points. Okay. So 1 is pointing to 5. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this one. So 2 is pointing to 9. And let me do this one here. Okay. Then I'll come back to this one because this is going to be the telltale one right here. So 6 is pointing to 4. And now I have this one. 1 is pointing to 3. So some of you might be like, oh, just draw another 1 and put a 3 like that. That would be wrong, 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 because I already wrote 1. Okay, 1 is already up here, so I can't write 1 again like that. So what I have to do is from this 1, 1 is pointing to 5, and 1 is also pointing to 3. Let's kind of maybe go down like this. And this right here, these 2 points, is what we need to know to answer this question. So this is not a function. Okay, so you could support this by saying you have an x mapping to 2 more than 1 y. Okay, so the definition of a function is that each x, maps to one and only one output, one and only one y. Here we have 1 mapping to both 5 and 3. Okay, so this is not a function by definition, but you can kind of justify that by using a mapping diagram. Okay, so you have a definition of a function could go something like this. Each x maps to only 1 and only 1 y. There's a lot of different ways you can kind of effectively say that, but using a mapping diagram to explain this would be an excellent way to justify this. Okay, there's a couple other different ways, but I would suggest you understand how to construct mapping diagrams because they're going to definitely be on your test. Okay, you're going to, you have to learn how to interpret them. All right, so that is question number 1. And if you got this right, that's excellent. Very, very good. You're well on your way to doing pretty nicely on your functions test, but we're not done yet. Let's move on to this next question. What is the domain? So in your own words, okay, define the word domain. Okay, so in your own words, all right? So again, this is another big word in the topic of functions. And as a teacher, I would accept a couple different varieties of descriptions of the domain. But what's yours? Pause the video and write that down, or maybe you put that into the comment section, and then let other people kind of see what you wrote. All right. So the domain. Okay. So the domain, all right, is effectively the set of all. Okay. I'm going to put allowable input, I can't write spell here, input values for a function, something like that, for a function. Okay, so it's a set of all input values. So for example, here f of x is equal to 2x plus 1. What are all the x values that I could plug into this function here without breaking it? Well, it would be the set of all real numbers, okay? I could plug in any number into this function and I can get an associated output value, which would also be, that would be called the range, but we're only talking about the domain. But you can't put any value into every single function. Sometimes you can, but sometimes you cannot. Okay, so it's the set of all allowable input values into a function. So for example, if I had a function like this, f of x is equal to the square root of x, and we're talking about defining the domain in terms of the set of real numbers, what am I allowed to plug in here? Well, I can't find f of negative 16 because I can't take the square root of a negative number when we're talking about the real numbers. This becomes an imaginary or complex numbers. So the definition for the domain or here, or the set of all allowable would numbers into this particular function would be all numbers x such that x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so and x would be element of the real numbers. There are a lot of different ways you kind of do that, but just know, hey, it's got to be positive or 0. Okay, you can't have any negative numbers to input into this function. Those numbers are not a part of what's allowed into that function, i.e. they're not going to be a part of the domain. So another way you can look at the domain, let's go back up here real quick. Let's suppose this was our mapping diagram. If this was our mapping diagram right here, the set of, I didn't do that, hold on one second. These points right here, the set of all these points, this is the domain, and over here, these are the output points. This would be the range, okay? Domain, range. Again, domain and range, something you're absolutely going to have a real command of in terms of this definition and be able to express it in your own words and define it, you know, with problems like this on a functions test. Again, I'm talking about those of you that are like the Algebra 1 level and beyond. Okay, so any of these things that kind of, you know, you're not quite feeling good about, again, a couple pieces of advice. I have a ton of videos on my YouTube channel that can help you out, but you probably want a more formal way to look at this. So again, check out any one of my algebra courses, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, even my pre-calculus course. If you're at that level, I get more advanced about functions. So we can, get very advanced here. This is kind of mid-range. I would say Algebra 1, Algebra 2, college algebra, intermediate algebra level. This quiz here. All right, so let's go ahead and look at our third problem for this quiz. We want to evaluate this function. Okay, so here's the function f of x is equal to 2x squared minus x for x is equal to negative 1. Go ahead and tell me what that is equal to. What is the answer? Okay, so do you have your answer? Let me go ahead and do it. So what you need to do is we need to plug in negative 1 into this function. So a lot of students will make all kinds of crazy mistakes because they don't use parentheses when they're plugging their values into functions, okay? Especially negative values like this. This is what this means. This word evaluate means plug in that value into this function, so it would look like this. So now I need to go ahead and simplify this. So f of negative 1 is equal to negative 1 squared. Is negative 1 times negative 1, that's positive 1. So that's 2 times a positive 1. Now I have a negative of a negative right here, so that's positive 1. Okay, so f of negative 1 is going to be what? 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. The answer is a positive 3. Okay, so hopefully you got this right. If you didn't, you got to be careful again when you're plugging in, especially negative values into a function, but that's what it means to evaluate a function. All right, let's move forward to our fourth question. Now, before we continue on, please consider hitting that subscribe button. This really does help me help as many people as possible on YouTube. Now, my channel is all about trying to make math clear, understandable, and interesting. Also, I'm trying to encourage people that are having a tough time in math to never give up. So if you enjoyed this content, again, hit that subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, hit that bell notification as well so you can get my latest videos. All right, so given these two functions, I got a function f of x, I got a function g of x, I want you to find f of x minus g of x. What is this equal to? All right, so go ahead and pause the video and work on this for a quick second if you want to do that, but I'm going to answer the question now. All right, so this is really easy. Effectively, all we need to do is replace the f of x here with this. This is what f of x is equal to. And the g of x, we're going to replace it with this. Okay, so, but we have to be very careful because we are finding the difference here. So I'll show you exactly what I mean. So f of x is what? That's 3x plus 4 minus, what's the g of x function? That is negative 2x minus 5. So again, what's going to throw a lot of students here is this negative sign. Okay, they're not going to set it up correctly, and then they're going to get this wrong. All right, this is easy points, by the way, on a test. All these questions here that I'm giving you, I would say are like easy mid-level questions for a test. But let's go ahead and finish this up. So this would be 3x plus 4. Now this negative, I got to distribute this negative to these terms. So negative, it's like a negative 1 times this will be plus 2x, negative times negative, and this negative times this will be plus 5, right? Okay, so now we can combine like terms. I got 3x and 2x, that's 5x. 4 and 5 is 9. So f of x minus g of x is equal to 5x minus 9. That is the answer. Okay, so let me just double check my work here. It looks pretty good. Yep, I'm looking pretty good. And that is the correct answer. All right, so how are you doing so far? Are you getting all these right? If you are, that's pretty awesome. Maybe you've been watching my YouTube channel and you're like, yeah, I'm getting these right because I've been watching your other videos. Whatever the case is, keep up the good work. Okay, so we are done. Let me see here. I said 6 questions. Yes, I said 6 questions. I'm right. So there is one more question after this. So here is our same functions. We still have f of x and g of x. These are the same functions we were talking about in the previous problem. But this time I want you to find this. I want you to find f of g of x. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video, work on this one. And what we're talking about here is a composite function. A composite function. A lot of students don't like composite functions, but you're going to need to know how to do a problem like this to be successful on your functions test. So let's go ahead and figure this out. So f of g of x means I'm going to be plugging in the g of x function, this thing right here, into the f function. Now, this is a big topic, composite functions. Again, if you're not understanding any of this, follow through on my YouTube channel or my algebra course. But let me go ahead and do this problem. So the f of x function is 3x plus 4. So I'm going to be plugging in to the f of x function the g of x function, which is negative 2x minus 5. So that's negative 2x minus 5. Okay, that's what I'm plugging in right there into my f function. But this is not done. This is 3 times, what am I plugging in? The g of x function plus 4. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify this. This would be 3 times negative 2x, negative 6x, 3 times, I'm doing the distributive property here, 3 times 5, that's 15, plus 4. Let me go ahead and work this down. So this would be negative 6x, and we have negative 15 plus 4 is negative 11. Okay, so there you go. Let's see here. Everything looks pretty good to me. Of course, if I made an error, let me know in the comment section, but I don't think so. But do I make errors? Absolutely, I make errors. But what I've tried to, any person that does mathematics, and there's no such thing as a person that does math perfectly, because it's a game of focus. So you could miswrite something, you could just quickly, lose track. But the name of the game is to reduce your errors down to like 99%, right? Like reduce the number of errors you make. And so how do you do that? By focusing, okay, double checking, writing neatly, clearly, and of course, knowing what you're talking about. All right, so this will be the composite function here, f of g of x, negative 6x minus 11. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at our last problem. And it is this. Okay, is this a function? We're talking about this little thing right here. And again, you need to explain. Okay, so back up your work. So is this a function, yes or no? All right, do you have your answer? Okay, drum roll, please. The answer is no. The answer is no. But why? Okay, so if you just said no, like, if you were my student in my class and you said no, I would be like, well, yeah, but, I'm not going to give you any points, whether this is right or wrong, because you're not justifying it. So make sure you fully justify it. So how can you justify this? The easiest way is to use the vertical line test, the VLT. Okay, so the vertical line test is an excellent test to test any graph, okay, um, to see if that graph in fact represents a function. And the way it works is this: if I draw a vertical line and it crosses through the graph more than once, okay, it fails the vertical line test, meaning that it is not a function. You need to know a lot about the vertical line test. You also need to know a lot about the horizontal line test. Again, things that I'm not going into because this is just a little pop quiz. Okay, so if you said no, this is not a function because this fails a vertical line test, I would be very happy. And if you got all these right, I would be like, you are awesome, A plus 100%. Matter of fact, I might just say, you know what, just skip the test, go home. I'm going to send you your A plus. I don't know what's going on. You must be watching that guy on YouTube, but you're doing awesome in algebra. Okay, so I hope this video helped you out. And if that's the case, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now, if you need additional help in algebra, check out these courses right here. So pre-algebra is for those of you that are studying basic algebra. But if you are further along in mathematics, then you may want to check out my Algebra 1 or Algebra 2 courses. Now, my Math Skills Rebuilder course is a review course. I cover basic math, algebra, and geometry in this course. I'm going to leave links to all these courses in the description of this video. All right, so with all that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your math adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.